including NHRIs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is the Helsinki Citizens Assembly Vanadzor, followed by Uzbekistan. Helsinki Citizens Assembly Vanadzor, you have the floor.
Thank you. And after the remark made by the Armenian government delegate yesterday, it seems that I should start my speech by saying thank you for allowing to be here and for the belief that I won't be prosecuted when I go back. And the only problem is that the delegation actually thinks this is a manifestation of their goodwill and not an obligation under the OSCE. This is exactly how freedoms are presented in Armenia, a gift that could be arbitrarily taken away. Within the last years, violations during assemblies became particularly violent, with arrests and apprehensions multiplying disproportionately every year. The rhetoric of maintaining public order has been largely abused by the Armenian authorities at the expense of freedom of assembly. Protesters, activists, and reporters were coercedly apprehended and taken to the police stations from the assembly venues arbitrarily without any legal grounds. In 2014, for example, there were only 106 persons apprehended, while in 2016, the number rose to around 1,000. And we're talking only about peaceful assemblers, not different other incidents that have been taking place. There have been several threats, attacks, and criminal cases brought against advocates. There is also a new tendency, as my colleague mentioned, about for searches of defense attorneys in courts and in prisons, and arbitrary application of disciplinary sanctions against them. The reports on police violations submitted to the authorities are not properly investigated, whereas there is always harsh prosecution of any alleged crime or violence against the law enforcement officer. The purely political nature of the prosecutions during these assemblies is illustrated in the case of former candidate to the presidency, Andreas Lukasyan, who, during the hearing of deciding on his detention term, was asked by the court if he would continue his political activity after being released, and as he said yes, his detention term was extended. Monitoring of assemblies revealed that police officers responsible for maintaining public order carried firearms during 5 assemblies in 2016. At least 20 officers carried firearms during a march to the embassy of the Russian Federation. And this is clear because there is an obvious selective approach to controlling assemblies and could be perceived as a threat to Russian interests or that have some political character. The attacks against civil society are committed officially through defamation charges or false statement charges, or unofficially through Russia-funded organizations that claim to protect Armenian traditional values and family values and attack anything that is pro-European or perceived as such.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Uzbekistan, followed by Centre de la Protection Internationale. Uzbekistan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator.